I think I should be live. Let's see. All right, folks, I think I'm live, but I'll wait for some feedback from YouTube to come in. If you can hear me and see me all right, please let me know in chat. Awesome. Thank you, Vishal, Aryaman, Prateek. Great. Awesome. Fantastic, folks. Thank you for confirming. Sorry, I was delayed by a couple of minutes. But yeah, I'm here and we can start the session. So, welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jatin. I'm the head of verbal ability and reading comprehension at 2IM, which basically means that I take care of the overall content development and training delivery for the VRC section. Okay. Just to give you a bit about my background, I've been in this industry, in the CAT industry, or associated with 2IM for over 2 years now. I was a part of the corporate world earlier in my, what I call my previous life. I was in the corporate world for about 18 plus years, and then I switched to teaching and teaching English. Okay, and you may wonder why I made this big career switch, because I'm very passionate about both these things. I'm very passionate about teaching, and I'm very passionate about the English language. So I always knew that at some point in time I would land up in a career which is full-time about English teaching. The opportunity presented itself in July 2020, and I made this big switch. Okay, so in my corporate world, of course, 18 plus years, it's a very long time, so I've done different kinds of roles, different companies. My last stint before 2IM was with Google across different roles. In Google, I've done sales, operations, training, marketing, a lot of different things. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit about me. Good evening, everyone. Now, we'll get started with the session. So today's session, and you must have seen in the description, is about discussing CAT 21 Slot 3 RCs. Okay, so we call this series as the Blitzkrieg series. Okay, and if you're new to our channel, or if you're a 2023 new aspirant, you might not know about what Blitzkrieg is. Okay, so Blitzkrieg is what we do at 2IM, which is where primarily we discuss past CAT questions. Okay, so very soon you will see Quant Blitzkrieg sessions where our faculties will come and discuss the previous CAT paper questions topic-wise. So you might have like a ratio proportion Blitzkrieg, a percentage Blitzkrieg, a geometry Blitzkrieg, and so on and so forth. Okay, we're going to do Blitzkrieg for DLR section as well this year. And of course, we're going to do VRC as well. Okay, so the reason why we're doing 2021 is because I didn't cover this slot last year. Okay, so this was remaining. I did slot 1 and slot 2, and you can have a look at the playlist. It has all the previous VRC Blitzkriegs, but I didn't manage to cover slot 3, so I decided I'll start season 2 with slot 3. Okay, so we're going to do CAT 21 slot 3 RCs, and we're going to cover 2 RCs today, which is about robots and language. Okay, so before we begin the session, you will find these RCs in the description of the video. Okay, so if you check the description of the video, you will see a Google document link. Click on that and you will see the RCs there. Okay, don't start reading it as of now. I'll let you know when to start reading. But yeah, definitely keep the link open and then we'll start the session. Okay, all right. Now before we begin, just a quick message. So we're running a scholarship test, and this is applicable to 23 and 24 aspirants. Okay, so if you're thinking of joining a course or considering a course, this is an excellent opportunity to get a fantastic discount. So the scholarship test is on 6th and 7th May, and if you do well in the scholarship test, you can get up to a 50% scholarship on our courses, on our full courses. Okay, so it's happening on 6th and 7th May. You can go to our website online.2am.com, and my teammate Pranav will also send it on the chat. So you can click on that, register for the scholarship test, attempt it anytime on 6th and 7th, and you can stand to get a 50% scholarship. This is open to both 23 and 24 aspirants. Okay? All right, and of course, this is something that I'm incredibly proud about because these are our students, some of our students, okay, just a small number, but these are some of our CAT 22 achievers who made it to Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, and also a few of them from SPJ. It's not a complete list, it's a very small list. Results are still coming in, but we're of course incredibly proud about these folks. And of course, it's a testament to the hard work that they have put in. We're very glad that we played a supporting role in their journey, and we are incredibly proud of them. Okay? All right, fantastic. Let's begin. And of course, this could be you next year as well. Okay, so take this as motivation to work hard. Fantastic. Now what we're going to do is, let me just check the chat. What will be the frequency of these sessions, and will you give us time to read? Absolutely. So Sangeet, you will have time to read. I will give you that right now. And Pratik, to answer your question, the frequency of these sessions, very regular. Okay, so I'm doing one session this week. I'm hoping to do one next week as well to cover slot 3. And once we start from June, we'll pretty much have it every week. You'll have at least one Blitzkrieg session on our channel every week, whether it's Quant, DLR, or VRC. And as we get closer to the exam, the frequency will increase. Okay, so definitely subscribe to our channel. All right, fantastic. So will I give time to you time to read right now? I want just open the link, please. Don't read it from the screen. There's a link in the description. Open that and read the first RC. The first RC is titled Robots. Forget the title. In CAT, you don't get titles, so ignore the title. Okay? Just read the RC1, which is Robots. Once you're done reading, we will start discussing it. Okay? So go ahead, folks. Please don't read it from the screen. Read it from the link, which is given in the description box. All right? Fantastic. So I'll give you about 4-5 minutes, and then we'll start reading. Okay? Hi Vasik, good to see you here. All right, folks, keep reading. Salman, good evening. Good to see you here. Anil, the link is in the YouTube description and it's also been sent on chat. Okay? Okay, folks, one thing I forgot to tell you, sorry to interrupt, but when you're done reading, please extract the main idea of this RC in your own words in 2 to 3 sentences. Okay, and type that in chat. 2 to 3 sentences, not 2 to 3 words. 2 to 3 sentences, extract the main idea, send it on chat. All right? Manu, you're asking me, is the topic important? I'm guessing you're talking about the title. The title doesn't matter. In CAT, you don't get titles. I've just put that title for some sort of description for you guys. Forget the title. Okay, folks, if you're just joining in, we're reading the first RC, so get that from the YouTube description. The link is there. Open the document, read the RC, the first one, which is titled Robots. Once you're done, send your main idea in 2 to 3 sentences on chat, and then we'll start discussing. Shriram, happy to see you as well in the session. Fantastic. So I'm getting some main ideas. Very nice. Okay. So I'm just going to go through it now, and then we'll discuss it once everybody's done. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, very nice. Very good, very good. The main ideas that I've gotten so far are quite impressive. All of you folks, okay, and I'll just see, gotten quite a few. 1 second. So Vishal, Rishik, Crystal, Kanchana, and Harsh. Very good job. All of you are on the right track. Of course, there are minor tweaks that need to be made in your main idea, but you folks are on the right track. Very nice. Sanjana, you're on the right track as well. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so Sanskriti and other people who just joined in, we are reading the first passage. Okay, this is CAT 21 slot 3 RC1. Go to the link in the YouTube description video. Open the document, read the RC titled Robots, and then we're going to start discussing it. Okay, all right, folks, should we start discussing it? Does anyone need more time? Or should we go? Ready to discuss? Okay, I'm getting more main ideas. I think we can start discussing. Okay, fantastic. All right, I hope you folks are done. Again, the time I'm giving you limited time. At this stage of the preparation, don't worry about speed. Okay, especially if you're starting your preparation now or if you're in the early stages, don't worry about speed. But of course, in the session, in the interest of time, I'll have to give you limited time. For future, when you're attending these Blitzkrieg sessions, it's always advisable to read these passages in advance and then come to my session. Okay, but of course, there'll always be limited time in the session. Okay, all right, now what I'm going to do is, the first question is about main idea. All right, so I'm not going to read the passage now, because if I read and explain it, I might end up giving you the main idea. All right, so first we'll attack that question, and then I'll come back and explain the passage, and then go for the remaining questions. All right, okay, so let me show you the question. This is the question, okay? I'm going to run a poll here. You don't have to send your answers on chat. I'll run a poll. Please solve it. Now, read the question carefully. Read each and every word of the option carefully. Read all the options and then choose the best option. Vote in the poll. Okay, there is a poll on your screen now. Please choose your answer in the poll. Sorry about blocking the screen. I often do that. Go for it now. It's clear. Okay, I'll end the poll in 30 seconds. Please vote. Ending the poll in 10 seconds. Everyone should vote, folks. Don't worry about making mistakes at this stage. Just vote. If you end up making a mistake, then we'll figure out why and then you'll learn from it. But definitely vote. All right, ending the poll now. Okay, so as you can see on your screen, I've ended the poll. 75% of you have gone with 1. Okay, that's quite overwhelming. So this is your first choice. Okay, 75%, that's quite overwhelming. 11% of you have gone for 4. This is your second choice. Okay, and then you've got 6% for 2 and 3. Okay, so you're very overwhelmingly telling me that the first answer is the correct answer. At least 75% of you feel that. Okay, let's read the question. It says, which one of the following statements best summarizes the central point of the passage? This is nothing but a main idea question. Alright, it's just phrased like this, but it's a main idea question, and main idea questions are very, very common in CAT. Okay, I can guarantee you that you will see main idea questions in 23 as well. We get that every year. So it's very, very common. So hence it's very important to develop the main idea skill. That's why I told you that after you're done reading the RC, before you go to the questions, extract the main idea yourself. You have to do that continuously in your practice phase as well. The more main ideas you extract, the better you'll get with these questions. Okay? It's a skill you have to develop over a period of time. So what does it say? Which one of the following statements best summarizes the central point of the passage? Your first choice was, once the stuff of science fiction, nanorobots now feature in cutting-edge scientific research. My question to you is, think about this. What is this passage about? Of course, we'll discuss the passage. What is this passage about? Is the passage about X-Men? No. X-Men is only mentioned in the first paragraph. The central idea, the main point of the passage is not about X-Men. So then what is the passage about? The passage is about these small, tiny robots. Isn't it? The focus of the passage is about small, tiny robots. Now, the next question is the passage about small, tiny robots in comics? My question is the passage about small, tiny robots in comics? No. That's again just the first paragraph. The passage is about small, tiny robots in real life scientific research. Isn't it? So it's the central idea is not around comics. The central idea is not around X-Men. The central idea is focused on small robots in real life. Okay? Alright. So first option says, once the stuff of science fiction, which is the reference to X-Men, isn't it? Nanorobots now feature in cutting-edge scientific research. Is this true per the passage? Think about it. First you have to understand, is this true per the passage? It is true per the passage. Okay? So there is no flaw here. I'm going to park it. The reason, sorry. Yeah. The reason why I'm parking this is because I haven't read the other options. Alright, let's go to option 2. Robots will use nanorobots on their feet and wheels to climb walls or move on ceilings. Now what you have to ask yourself is this true per the passage? It is. There is one paragraph where it talks about this. That existing robots will use nanorobots on their feet and wheels to climb walls or move on ceilings. There is a paragraph that talks about it. So is this true per the passage? Yes. Okay, so let's park it. Okay, number 3. The field of robotics is likely to be featured more and more in comics like the new X-Men. Now my question to you is, does the passage say that? Does the passage say that the field of robotics is likely to be featured more and more in comics like new X-Men? It doesn't. Let's go back. This is the paragraph that talks about X-Men, isn't it? This is the only paragraph that talks about X-Men. Where does it say, or from where are you inferring that this will be featured more and more in X-Men? There's nothing like that. It just says that back in the early 2000s, an awesome thing happened in the new X-Men comics. Okay? The mutant heroes had been battling a certain type of giant robots, and now they'll have to battle a certain type of new nanorobots. That's it. There is no indication that this is going to feature more and more in X-Men. There is nothing like that. So that is wrong. The passage doesn't align with that. Okay? The passage doesn't align with that. So this we can eliminate. Number 4. Nanorobots made from molecules that react to water have become increasingly useful. Is this true per the passage? It is. It is true per the passage. So park it. Now what you have to ask yourself is, you have 1, 2 and 4. This is a central point or a main idea question. Remember, main idea or central point is for the entire passage, is not for particular paragraphs. Okay, so main ideas tend to be broader. Alright, main ideas can't be focusing on just one paragraph. So if you look at 1, it says, once the stuff of science fiction, nanorobots now feature in cutting-edge scientific research. It's pretty broad. Right? 1 second. It's pretty broad. Okay? 2 and 4 are very, very specific. They pertain to specific paragraphs. Okay? Let's look at the paragraph that 2 focuses on. Feet and wheels to climb walls or move on ceilings. Let's look at that. There you go. This is the paragraph that it talks about, where it says these small robots will be used to enhance more conventional robots, where you can attach them to the wheels which will help them to climb ceiling. It's just one paragraph. It's not the central idea. Right? Similarly, the water part is spoken about only in the last paragraph. Main ideas have to pertain, have to cover the entire RC, not just small paragraphs. Hence, If you look at this, although 2 and 4 are correct, they align with the passage, 1 is a better main idea because 1 is broad and it encompasses the whole RC. That's why the correct answer is 1. Okay, is this clear? Now, of course, there's a lag on YouTube, but I'll wait for your confirmation. Does this make sense? Tell me in chat, please, if this is making sense. All good? Okay. Now, see, folks, who got this question wrong. One, don't worry about getting a question wrong at this stage. Okay, we are all learning. But when you get a question wrong, what you have to figure out is why did you get it wrong, right? Why did you get this wrong? What is the mistake that you made? Now, in this case, the mistake, if you picked 2 or 4, the mistake that you made was you only focused on a particular paragraph. And that doesn't work in this question because it's a main idea question. Main idea is about the entire passage. Alright? If you picked 3, the mistake that you made was you misinterpreted or your inference was wrong. The inference that you made was wrong. So figure out why you made the mistake so that you can avoid that mistake in future. Alright? Okay, great. And well done to the people who got this right. Fantastic. Now, let's go back to the passage. I'm going to quickly explain it. Okay? I didn't want to explain it in the first go because first question was main idea. But I'm going to quickly go through it. Okay? Alright. And then let me know if you want me to go through it in detail. In the interest of time, I'll do a quick overview towards the end of the session. If you want me to go through the passage in detail, I'm more than happy to do that. So let me know. Okay? Alright. So see, this is how I read. One thing you have to remember when you're reading RCs. Number 1, be very active and aggressive when you're reading. Okay? You cannot read an RC like a recreational activity. It's not leisure reading. It's not recreational reading. The way you approach an article in a newspaper is very different from how you would approach with an RC. So read it with a lot of active and aggressive behavior. What does that mean? So right from your posture to what you tell yourself and be very aggressive about concentration and comprehension. So you have to be very active and aggressive. Okay? Check out my effective reading session. I've explained this. I think my teammate can send the link or I'll attach it later in the description or comments. Check out the effective reading session where I talk about this strategy. Second is focus on the main idea. Always, always focus on the main idea. Don't fixate on words. Read each and every word. Don't skip words. Okay, don't skim. But focus on the main idea. When you're reading the whole RC, you should be able to extract the main idea at the end. And then we go to questions. Okay? Alright, let's do this. Back in the early 2000s, an awesome thing happened in the new X-Men comics. Our mutant heroes had been battling giant robots called Sentinels for years. But suddenly, these mechanical overlords spawned a new threat. Nano-Sentinels. Not content to rule Earth with their metal fists, these tiny robots invaded our bodies at the microscopic level. Infected humans were slowly converted into machines cell by cell. It's quite scary if you think about it. Some of you might find this exciting as well. Now, what is the main point in this paragraph? Again, how do you approach an RC? You read a paragraph, pause for a few seconds, extract the main point. Either in your head or you can write it down. Okay? So what does this paragraph say? See, this paragraph is definitely talking about X-Men comics. New X-Men comics. Now, what happened in these new X-Men comics? The villain changed. The heroes were what? The heroes were X-Men, mutant heroes. The villain changed. The villain changed from what? From giant robots. They were battling giant robots. Suddenly, it changed to nano-sentinels. There's new type of robots that came into picture. And these mutant heroes had to battle them. And what were these nano-sentinels all about? Nano means small. Okay? They were invading human bodies and infected humans were converting into machines. Pretty scary. So what is the main point? The main point is that these mutant heroes in the new X-Men comics had to battle a new villain called nano-sentinels that were changing humans into machines by invading them. That's the main point. Now you extract that in your head or you can take a small note here. All right, so this is completely about new X-Men comics. Okay, let's move on. Now a new wave of extremely odd robots is making at least part of this Nano Sentinel story come true. Connect the dots. This is fiction. This is fiction, isn't it? But now it's saying that part of the story is coming true. That means it's becoming reality. Okay? Using exotic fabrication materials like squishy hydrogels and elastic polymers, researchers are making autonomous devices that are often tiny and that could turn out to be more powerful than an army of Terminators. So this is becoming reality. Okay? Using different material that they've mentioned, they're making robots which are very tiny, but that could be more powerful than an army of Terminators. Now imagine that. Take an interest in this article. It's easier here because this article is fun. But in spite of the content, take interest in it. Keep talking to yourself when you're reading. Okay? So super tiny robots, researchers are making them. It's becoming a reality. Very tiny, but they can be more powerful than an army of Terminators. Let's continue. Some are 1 centimeter blobs, really tiny. That's why they're called nano. That can skate over water. Others are flat sheets that can roll themselves into tubes or matchstick-sized plastic coils that act as powerful muscles. So there is different utilities here. These nano robots or these small robots have different utilities. Some skating over water, some doing something else. No, they won't be invading our bodies and turning us into sentinels, which I personally find a little disappointing, but some of them could one day swim through our bloodstream to heal us. Very interesting. So these tiny robots can go into our bodies and can actually take a part and heal our bodies. So they become a part of medicine. They could also clean up pollutants in water or fold themselves into different kinds of vehicles for us to drive. What is the main point here? Think about it. The main point here is this is going to become reality. These small robots. Okay, that's the main point. And what are these small robots going to do? They are made up of certain materials. They're going to be very small and they'll have different utilities. From healing us to cleaning pollutants to helping us drive. That's the main point of this paragraph. Continue. Unlike a traditional robot, so now they are comparing it with a traditional robot. Unlike a traditional robot which is made of mechanical parts, these new kinds of robots are made from molecular parts. Interesting. So this paragraph seems to be talking about the composition of these robots. Okay? The principle is the same. Both are devices that can move around and do things independently. But a robot made from smart materials might be nothing more than a pink drop of hydrogel. Instead of gears and wires, it's assembled from two kinds of molecules, some that love water and some that avoid it, which interact to allow the bot to skate on top of a pond. So what is this paragraph saying? This paragraph is talking about the composition of this nano robot, and it's comparing it with a traditional robot. A traditional robot has wires, but a nano robot is made up of molecules. Right? Okay, let's continue. Keep extracting the main point like this. Sometimes these materials are used to enhance more conventional robots. So till now we were talking about how these robots can work independently. Now it's saying sometimes these materials are used to enhance more conventional robots. One team of researchers, for example, has developed a different kind of hydrogel that becomes sticky when exposed to a low voltage zap of electricity and then stops being sticky when the electricity is switched off. The putty-like gel can be pasted right onto the feet or wheels of a robot. When the robot wants to climb a sheer wall or scoot across the ceiling, it can activate its sticky feet with a few volts. Once it is back on a flat surface again, the robot turns off the adhesive like a light switch. So what is happening? A lot of material. What is the main point? These robots can help traditional robots as well. And how are they going to help them? They're going to help them by helping them climb across ceilings. So they can be fit into the feet of a traditional robot. It will work with electricity. When they want to climb across the ceiling, it will turn on. When they want to walk on a flat surface, it will turn off. So see what I'm doing. I'm not getting stuck on details. I'm just extracting the main points, which is what you have to do when you're reading the whole RC. Don't fixate on words. If you don't understand a certain word, try to understand it from context. Focus on the main idea, not on details. Read everything, but keep the focus on the main idea. Let's continue. Robots that are wholly or partly made of glue and the future that I was promised in science fiction. The author is disappointed. But it's definitely the future I want. I'm especially keen on the nanometer scale soft robots that could one day swim through our bodies. Very interesting. Jatin, a director at the Max Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems in Germany, worked with colleagues to prototype these tiny synthetic beasts using various stretchy materials, such as simple rubber, and seeding them with magnetic microparticles. They are assembled into a finished shape by applying magnetic fields. The results look like flowers or geometric shapes made from Tinkeroid ball and stick modeling kits. They're guided through tubes of fluid using magnets and can even stop and cling to the sides of a tube. This paragraph talks about details. Okay, and what are the details? How these robots will one day swim through our bodies and how are they made? Specifically, these robots, nanorobots, that will one day swim through our bodies. It's talking about a specific research around these robots. So it's giving you details. All right. I know it's a long explanation, but it was required since the first RC of the season. What is the main point? Think about it. And a lot of you gave me excellent main ideas. Now let me ask you this. Is the main idea about X-Men? No, absolutely not. Because X-Men is only mentioned in the first paragraph. That's not the theme of the RC. The theme of the RC is these small robots. Definitely the theme of the RC is small robots, but this is not the complete main idea. What about these main robots? These small robots have become reality. They have already become reality. The RC clearly says the researchers have developed these already, so they have become reality. Now, what are these small robots going to do? They're going to have multiple utilities. They'll be used in medicine. Okay? They'll be used to drive. They'll be used to clear pollutants. Okay? So it's completely about these small robots and how their composition, how they are made, and also there's one point on how they can help traditional robots. Okay? So the main idea, just to summarize, definitely focused on small robots. Okay? About how they are becoming a reality or how they have become reality, about their different utilities, their composition, and how they help traditional robots. That's the main idea. All right? Long explanation. I know. That's what happens in VRC classes, right? So, but tell me, does this make sense? Does this match the main idea that you had in your mind? Tell me, people, the lag on YouTube is annoying, but of course we have to live with it. I keep cribbing a lot about YouTube, but then of course it gives me a chance to connect with you folks. But yeah, sometimes it's just a cribbing habit. All right, Sash says yes. Amritanshu says yes. Ariman, Abhijit, nobody says yes. Okay, fantastic. So it makes sense. Great. And now when you're matching this with your main idea, you just have to be on the same page with me. The words don't have to match. Okay? All right, fantastic. Let's move on, folks. Let's go to question 2. Please read the question carefully. I will run the poll. Take your time, evaluate all the options, and then answer the question. 1 second. The poll is up on your screen. Please vote. I'm going to move out of the way. Okay, I'll be ending the poll in 20 seconds, folks. Please vote. Ending the poll now. Okay, so the poll has ended. Again, there is a good majority in this question as well, but the majority is reduced. 62% of you are saying 4. Okay, this is your first option. Okay, 20% of you are saying 2. This is your second option. So we've gone for none of the options listed here. 17% is saying 3. This is your third choice. And then finally, 0% have taken this one. Okay, so there is actually one, none of you have selected 1. I hope 1 is not the answer. Okay, we'll see. All right, now before that, I want to address one very interesting comment in chat. Sandeep is saying, I'm surprised that this question only requires general X-Men knowledge. All right, now Sandeep, I completely understand what you're saying, but don't rely on this external knowledge. Okay, because often what happens is they can give you an RC, which is let's say, if this RC was an author's opinion on X-Men comics, or let's say, hypothetically speaking, this RC was the author's interpretation of the X-Men comics. So X-Men might have a totally different interpretation, what you've read, the author might have a completely different interpretation, right? Then in that case, if you start relying on your general knowledge, you will get the question wrong. I get what you're saying, but my point here is, don't rely on your external knowledge. That is one tip that I always tell students. When you're solving RCs, remember it is reading comprehension. The questions have to be answered based on what you have read and what you have inferred. Do not bring in your external knowledge. That is how you will end up making a mistake. So even if you know the topic, okay, stay away from the external knowledge, stick to what is mentioned in the passage. All right? Okay, but I get your point, Sandeep. Oh, Sridhar, great. No, all right, that's good to know. Okay, let's look at this. Which one of the following statements best captures the sense of the first paragraph? Now let's go back to the first paragraph. Now in such questions, okay? Now this is a question, right? Should you go back to the RC when you're solving questions? Absolutely yes. Okay, some of you might have this misconception from outside that, oh, when I'm solving an RC, it's not okay to go back to the RC when I'm solving questions. Folks, that is a complete myth. It's a wrong strategy. When you're reading the RC, focus on the main idea. Don't get stuck on the details. If there is a question that focuses on details, go back. Go back to that specific portion, reread it, and then answer the question. Don't reread the whole RC, reread a specific portion. So it's absolutely fine to go back to specific portions of the passage while answering questions. Okay, let's go back to the first paragraph. Right, now you remember this first paragraph. This paragraph was about X-Men comics. Okay, and it says, our mutant heroes had been battling giant robots called Sentinels for years, but now suddenly these mechanical overlords spawned a new threat, Nano Sentinel. Okay, now this sentence can confuse a few people. Let's understand this sentence. Let's read it again. This is what you should do in the exam as well. Our mutant heroes had been battling giant robots called Sentinels for years. Had been battling. What does that indicate? They were battling this in the past. But now, suddenly, these mechanical overlords spawned a new threat, Nano Sentinels. Who are mechanical overlords? What does mechanical overlords, who does mechanical overlords refer to? Is it referring to X-Men or is it referring to something else? What is it referring to? Understand the statement and tell me. Who are mechanical overlords? And forget your X-Men knowledge. Tell me from here. Who are mechanical overlords? I'm going to wait for your answer. Tell me, tell me. Okay, so Calix is dead says the sentience. Okay, Ariman Fadnis says the sentinels. Sentinels, correct, absolutely. Absolutely, good job folks. Okay, so these mechanical overlords are nothing but these giant, sorry about that. These mechanical overlords are nothing but these giant robots called sentinels. They are not X-Men. It says these mechanical overlords spawned a new threat. Spawned means gave birth to. Okay, add this in your dictionary. Okay, gave birth to a new threat, nano sentinels. So it's a new threat for X-Men. It's a new villain for X-Men. Okay, mechanical overlords is not X-Men. Okay, all right, let's go back. Now, which one of the following statements best captures the sense of the first paragraph? So what is the first paragraph talking about? How these X-Men have a new villain. They moved on from giant robots to nano sentinels. Number one, people who were infected by nano sentinel robots became mutants who were called X-Men. Absolutely wrong. Okay, and I'm glad you didn't fall for that. None of the options listed again we'll come down to that. Number three, tiny sentinels called X-Men infected people, turning them into mutant robot overlords. Is this what the paragraph is saying? Read this option. Tiny sentinels called X-Men. Were X-Men referred to as sentinels? No, the giant robots were referred to as sentinels. X-Men were fighting them. So they were two different entities. Now it says tiny sentinels called X-Men infected people. X-Men didn't infected people. X-Men was the people who were fighting these sentinels. So this is a complete misinterpretation of the first paragraph. Okay, this can't be your answer. Number four, the X-Men were mutant heroes who now had to battle tiny robots called nano sentinels. Perfect. The X-Men were heroes, mutant heroes who had to battle a new villain called nano sentinels. So answer is definitely 4. Okay, it can't be this because 4 is correct. All right, I hope this is correct. Fantastic. If there are any questions, post the questions. I can come back to it after the session. All right. But I hope this question is clear. If you made a mistake, please understand where you made a mistake from. Let's move on. Question 3. I'll run the poll again. Please go ahead. By the way, this is a tricky question. Take your time. Do not rush with these questions. Okay, great. Kanchana, I'll answer your question, okay? Valid question, I'll answer it. Fantastic, Sridhar. Great. That's exactly what you have to do with this question. Okay. Of course, I'll explain that for everyone. But what Sridhar is saying is absolutely correct. That's the right way to solve this question. Abhijit, you're right. Question crafted by an evil paper setter. You're right. Definitely evil because they twisted the question, right? Definitely evil. Okay. Right, folks, I'll end this poll in, I want to give you a little bit more time because I understand this question is tricky. But yeah, let's take 30 more seconds and then finish the poll. Correct, Sandeep. Absolutely. That is what I'm referring to. I'll explain that for everyone, but that's what I'm referring to. Okay, folks, last 10 seconds. In the interest of time, I don't want to rush you, but on YouTube, just in the interest of time, I'll have to do that. Yeah, Animesh, that's absolutely fine. The whole point of these sessions is to learn. You have to learn the strategy of solving this question. Once you learn that, if you're careful, you'll get it right next time. Okay, I'm ending the poll now. All right, now see, the vote percentage will tell you that this question is tricky. Okay, when I have an overwhelming majority, usually in my classes, I'll run polls in my classes as well. And my students know this. When there's an overwhelming majority, most likely, the folks are right, and then that's an indication that the question was manageable. The moment the majority starts dipping, I know that, okay, this question is confusing because obviously the options are confusing you. But yeah, this is a tricky question. 50% of you are saying that 1 is the answer. Okay. Okay. Then followed by 23% who are saying 3 is the answer. I'll use the other one. 20%, which is quite close, are saying 2 is the answer, so that is 3. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's your third choice. And then finally, we have 6%, very, very few takers for the last option. Okay, let's discuss this question. It's a very, very interesting question. Okay, don't worry about whether you got it right or wrong. Just learn the strategy. Now, which one of the following? Read the question. When you're reading questions, read it very, very carefully. Don't rush through the questions and options. Okay, which one of the following scenarios, if false, could be seen as supporting the passage? It's very crucial to focus on the underlying statements. Which one of the following scenarios, if false, could be seen as supporting the passage? Let's write this down. You have false and the question is saying false support. Okay, so it's saying that which one of the following scenarios, if false, could be seen as supporting the passage. Now, if you try following this, you're going to get very confused because what this will require is you'll have to go for the opposite. So every option, you'll have to falsify it. Falsifying means you'll have to go on the opposite track. Okay, so you'll have to falsify this, falsify this, falsify this, falsify this, and see which one support. That's very tricky. Falsifying and then supporting, no, don't do that. Turn this question on its head. What Abhijit, what Sridhar, what Sandeep was saying, right? Make it true. Turn it on its head. Sorry. Okay, folks, just give me 1 minute. Wow, this is just... Okay, sorry about this. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry about apologies for my handwriting. But yeah, basically what I've done is false support, turn the question on its head. This means true does not support. That's how you're supposed to solve these questions. Don't try to falsify it, it's very confusing. Go for the opposite. Turn the question on its head, make the false true, make the support does not support. If the question says false does not support, make it true, support. So whatever is given to you, go for the opposite parameters, turn both of them on its head. So now we're going to look for option which is true and does not support. So that means we don't have to change the options, we just have to go for the option that does not support the passage. Simple. Alright, now let's try it. 1. Nano-sentinel-like robots are likely to be used to inject people to convert them into robots cell by cell. Nano-sentinel-like robots. This is the reality, isn't it? This is not fiction. It says nano-sentinel-like robots. Remember in the fictional comics, they were called as nano-sentinels. This is referring to the cutting-edge scientific research that is happening in reality. Are these robots going to be used to inject people to convert them into robots cell by cell? No, absolutely not. Go back. It says, 1 second. Yes. Look at this sentence. No, they won't be invading our bodies and turning us into sentinels, which personally I find a little disappointing. The author clearly says this, that in reality, they're not going to be invading our bodies and turning us into sentinels. The author clearly says that. So this is the evidence that's telling you that that option does not support. So nano-sentinel robots are likely to be used to inject people to convert them into robots cell by cell? No. This is not true per the passage. Now remember what we are looking for. We are looking for true does not support. Does this match that? Think about it. True means this statement. Does it support? No. We are looking for true does not support. So this can be our answer. Let's park it. Okay, let's go to number 2. There are two kinds of molecules used to make some nanorobots. One that react positively to water and the other negatively. Is this true per the passage? It is. Go back and check. It clearly says that. This is true per the passage. So this is true supports. Is this what we are looking for? No. We are looking for true does not support. This can't be our answer. Okay? Alright. Number 3. Robots made from smart materials are likely to become part of our everyday lives in the future. Can you infer this from the passage? Yes. And why I'm saying this? Because they're saying there are going to be different utilities of these robots. Okay? It explains different things. Medicine, driving, cleaning pollutants, driving and everything is a part of your everyday life. So this is true supports we're looking for. True does not support. This can't be your answer. Some hydrogels turn sticky when an electric current is passed through them. This potentially has very useful applications. This is being spoken about in the paragraph where they help traditional robots to be on the ceiling. Read that. So this is true supports. This can't be your answer. The answer is 1. Because this is true does not support. And that's what we're looking for. Alright. So again, just to summarize, turn this on its head and always write this down on your notepad. If you mentally try to do it, you can get confused. So it's always best to say, okay, the question is saying false support, I'm looking for true does not support. And then keep seeing which one matches. In this case, one matches. All right? Awesome. Great. I hope this is clear. Let's move on to the next question. If there is a question, just let me know. Okay, the remaining questions, right? I know, Kanjay, you had a question, right? I'll answer that at the end of the session, so stay back. All right, let's move on. Let's do this. Question 4. The poll is up on your screen. Please vote. Okay, Abhijit is asking me, what if there are two true options? Abhijit, that will never happen. Okay, that will never happen. If there are two true options, then it's a mistake from the CAT side. There's always one option that is correct, right? So yeah, it won't happen. They can be very close to each other, so they seem true, but once you deep dive, you will realize that one of them is not true. Okay. Karthik is saying this seems to be a very easy RC. Not very easy, Karthik, but yes, it was the most manageable RC out of the 4 RCs in slot 3. I remember this because I was in slot 3, right? This RC was definitely, out of the 4, it was the most manageable. We'll be discussing all of them. The second one is more complex than this, and third and fourth that I'll discuss next week is even more complex. Okay, folks, I'm ending the poll now. Please vote. Correct. Always, of course, remember in CAT, when you're choosing options, and this is true for all sections, you have to choose the best answer possible. Okay? Forget the quest of looking for a perfect answer. In most questions, you will never find the perfect answer. You have to go for the best answer, right? Out of the 4, and when you're saying best, it has to be only one option, right? So think on those lines. I'm ending the poll now. Okay, 75% of you are saying 1. This is your first choice. So again, very overwhelming majority. 12% is saying 2, and then there are very few takers for 3 and 4. All right, let's discuss this very quickly. Which one of the following statements, if true, that means you have to assume that these statements are true. All right, you have to assume them. When it says if true, stop fighting with the option. Assume that it is true. Okay. Which one of the following statements, if true, would be the most direct extension of the arguments in the passage? Very interesting question. It's an extension, so it's basically going beyond the passage. This is what we call an extrapolation question. Okay, so you have to basically take your understanding of the passage and then extrapolate it into something new. So this can get tricky. In this case, it's manageable, but sometimes it can get tricky. Now, how do you solve these questions? Think about it. So again, assume it's true. Most direct extension of the arguments in the passage. That means you have to look for an option that is related to the arguments in the passage. See, they're saying extension of the arguments. That means it has to have some connection with the arguments of the passage, right? It can't be something totally new. It can't be a totally new topic because it says direct extension of the arguments in the passage. So that means look for an option that is related to the arguments in the passage. There has to be a relation. If there is no relation, that's not the answer. All right, let's look at it. In the future, robots will be used to search and destroy diseases even in the deepest recesses of the human body. Now think about it. Does the passage talk about anything to do with these robots destroying diseases or these robots healing us? Does the passage talk about it? It does, right? Go back. Actually, that's one of the main points. It says, but some of them could one day swim through our bloodstream to heal us. That was one of the striking points of this passage. This was one of the utilities, medicine. So is that related to the passage? Definitely it's related. Can this be an extension? It can be an extension. So in future, there will be used to destroy diseases. It's related to what they're saying. So let's park it. This looks like a good answer. Number 2, sentinel robots will be used in warfare to cause large-scale destructive mutations among civilians. This is your second choice. Now think about it. Is this related to the arguments? Think about this. Is this related to the arguments in the passage? Are the arguments in the passage about these robots positive or negative? Ask yourself this question. Are the arguments about these nano robots in reality positive or negative? They are completely positive. So suddenly, how will we have something negative? We're talking about direct extension. You are positive, overwhelmingly positive throughout the RC. Suddenly, how will it become negative? It can't become negative. So that's why it can't be a direct extension. It's not related. This can't be your answer. Please understand why I'm eliminating this. Number 3. X-Men may be created by injecting people with X-Men may be created by injecting people. X-Men may be created with mutant nanogels that will respond to the brain's magnetic field. This is completely distorted. X-Men were the heroes, not the villain. 1 centimeter blobs of gel that have nanorobots in them will be used to send messages. Where is this coming from? You are saying direct extension of the arguments. Give me evidence. Ask yourself this. Where is the evidence? What is the evidence of messaging? Is anything about messaging being spoken about? Can you infer that? No. This is your answer. Alright? I hope this is clear. Remember this. See folks, again the objective of these sessions, of course, I explain and all of that, but understand the strategies. And the strategy here is, when you have a question like this, you have to have a connection with the arguments in the RC. And this teaches us that suddenly you can't move from positive to negative. No author will do that. So that doesn't make sense. Alright? Awesome. Fantastic. Great. I hope you're enjoying the session. If you're enjoying the session, hit like right now. I always forget to say this on YouTube, and YouTube demands me to say this. Okay, so please like the session if you're liking it. If you're not liking it, you can hit dislike. But don't do that. Okay, don't be mean. I'm kidding. You can do whatever you want, but give me a reaction, give me a comment, whatever that is. Let's go to the next paragraph. Now, I know some of you have questions about the previous, this RC. I will deal with that at the end of the session. Okay, I'll stay back and deal with it. All right. Open your, now we'll go faster. Okay, that was the first RC of the season. So I wanted to sort of take my time. This I'm going to go faster. Okay, so read the RC, please. Extract the main idea in 2 to 3 sentences. Don't ignore this, and then we'll go to the questions. All right, go for it, people. Read it in the YouTube description, not from the screen. Thank you, Anil. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. When will we pick up CAT 22 passages? Sanjana, in June. Expect that to happen starting June. Okay. The reason why I'm doing this in June is because I want you folks to start giving you mocks and all of that. So June is for sure we'll start 22. We can start that earlier as well, but June for sure. Okay, the link to the RC has been sent in chat. Please start reading it, extract the main idea, send it. It's complex than robots, but don't worry, we're all learning. Read it with a lot of interest. Okay, go for it. Folks, don't forget to send me the main idea in 2 to 3 sentences. Okay, Sandeep and Kanchana have sent me the main ideas. Good job, folks. I'll comment on it. Of course, we'll discuss the main idea. Others send me the main idea, then we can start discussing. Any more main ideas coming in? I don't mean to rush you folks, but just in the interest of time. Okay, great. There are more main ideas. Fantastic. Again, folks, just a reminder: next time when you come for these sessions, pre-read the passages and come. The link will always be given in the description. Read the passages in advance and then come. Of course, I'll give you some time, but then you can read it at your own speed, process it, and then we can jointly solve the questions, right? So just to make the best use of the session, do that. All right, fantastic. So Vishal and Crystal have also chimed in. Very nice, folks. Very good. Okay, let's look at the first question. Fantastic. Okay, so let's solve the first question, and then I'll come back and sort of discuss the passage. So have a look at this question, and I've run the poll. Answer it, and then we'll discuss the passage. Go for it, people. I'm sure you're finding this question tricky. It is, okay? So if you're finding it tricky, don't worry about it. The language of the passage is also complex, especially if you compare it with the robots passage. This is significantly more complex, isn't it? So these are both from the same slot, and that typically happens in slots, right? The RCs will have varying difficulty levels. Okay, folks, take 30 more seconds, and I will close the poll. Yeah, Sridhar, not a problem at all. I can get it. I can get it because you're finding it complex. But again, see, we have to avoid the habit of rereading the same passage, so rereading the whole passage multiple times. You have to avoid that habit. So if you follow those effective reading strategies, focus on the main point, are very active and aggressive, you will get rid of this habit of rereading the whole RC multiple times. And of course, as your reading skills build, that will also happen. All right? Okay, people, I'm ending the poll. Please vote. Okay, all right. Now, few of you have voted. All of you should vote next time. It's completely split, as you can see, and obviously that tells you that the question was tricky. 34% of you, 34, are saying it's 1, 30% is saying 2, 25% is saying 4. Okay, so it's very, very close. This is your first choice. This is your second choice. Okay, and fourth is the third choice. Very, very close percentages. And this is your fourth choice. Okay, now let's understand this. We'll understand this passage also. Stay with me because it's an important passage. It's complex, so I'll help you understand it. Now let's look at the question. What is the question saying? Which one of the following statements best summarizes the author's position about Pinker's book? Read the question carefully. Okay, which one of the following statements best summarizes the author's position? So you have to look at it from the author's perspective about Pinker's group. There are two people in the passage. There's Chomsky and there's Pinker. Okay? Chomsky says something, Pinker says something. It's talking about the author's position about Pinker's book. Now, if you don't read this question carefully, you'll end up marking an answer which might give author's position about Chomsky's views. But we are looking for author's position about Pinker's book. Right? Okay. Now, before we go into it, let's look at the passage quickly. Let me explain to you the passage. I'll try to be as crisp as possible, and then we'll get into it. Yeah, the poll is super scattered because it's a difficult question. All right, let's look at this. Now, first thing that you have to understand about this passage is it's talking about Noam Chomsky, and it's also talking about Steven Pinker. These are the two main characters in this passage, right? Okay. Now, Chomsky proclaimed a new doctrine. I'm not reading each and every word just in the interest of time. But of course, when you're in the exam, you should read each and every word as we approach the previous passage. But I won't read each and every word here. Okay? Now, Chomsky proclaimed a new doctrine. What is a doctrine? Doctrine is a set of beliefs. Okay? Chomsky said language that most human of all attributes was innate. And then it sort of goes on to explain this. What was Chomsky's main view about language? Think about it and tell me in chat. I'll keep talking, but tell me in chat. According to the RC, what was Chomsky's main view or main point about language? His main point was that language, most human of all attributes, was innate. The grammatical faculty was built into the infant brain, and then blah, blah, blah. And then Steven Pinker rephrases this and calls his book The Language Instinct. All right. So if you look at this paragraph, Chomsky's main view about the language was that language is innate. What does innate mean? Innate means inbuilt. It's inbuilt. And then Pinker explains this more clearly by calling it as an instinct. This is actually a part of the main idea, folks. Okay, if you included this as a part of your main idea, this is not the complete main idea, but this is a very important part of the main idea. Somebody said, so let me read this. Sash says, no, hold on one second, not Sash. Sukanya says, I think the main idea is that linguistic ability of humans is a genetic basis. Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. Yeah, I think you are all fine. But the main point is that Chomsky says it's innate, and then Pinker rephrases it and calls it as an instinct. This is the main point. Very, very crucial main point of this RC. All right? Okay. Now, one thing that you have to realize is that what Chomsky did, now look at this. It says, okay, one second. Yeah. Since this message was couched in terms of Chomsky's theoretical linguistics in discourse so opaque that it was nearly incomprehensible even to some scholars. So scholars also found it very difficult to understand. So what Pinker did was, in a brilliant, witty and altogether satisfying book, Pinker brought Chomsky's research or findings to every man. What does that mean? He simplified it. He simplified it because even scholars were finding it very difficult to understand what Chomsky was saying. Pinker simplified it and brought those understanding or brought that research to every man in his book called The Language Instinct. So we have two things. We have Chomsky's views, which were very, very cryptic and complicated. Pinker simplified it and brought it to every man in that book, Language Instinct, where he gathered data from different sources. I hope that's clear. All right. Now, as we go on, you will also understand that Chomsky and Pinker don't agree 100%. Is that correct? Tell me. Do Chomsky and Pinker agree 100%? No. Although Pinker borrows from Chomsky's research, he doesn't agree with Chomsky 100%. And that is clearly given in the RC. Right? Okay, what does this paragraph say? Let me just quickly read it. Yeah, so this paragraph sort of gives you details about how it is an instinct, isn't it? How language is an instinct, because it says for Mr. Chomsky and Mr. Pinker, somewhere in the human brain there is a complex set of neural circuits that have been programmed with super rules, making up what Chomsky calls universal grammar. So again, it's innate. It's inbuilt in our brain. It's a part of our brain. That's what Chomsky and Pinker are saying. So here they are agreeing. Here they are agreeing with each other. Both of them say that it's an instinct. And both of them say that, hey, this is a part of your brain. Alright, let's move on. In this paragraph, now it says, unlike Mr. Chomsky, Mr. Pinker firmly places the wiring of the brain for language within the framework of Darwinian natural selection and evolution. So this tells you that they don't always agree. They don't always agree. And this is one point they don't agree on. Because Chomsky, unlike Mr. Chomsky, Mr. Pinker considered this as a part of evolution. He said that this is a part of evolution. Chomsky seems to disagree with that. Alright? He says he effectively disposes of. Okay, blah. So this basically paragraph talks about how it's a part of evolution and how humans have this capability, but primates or non-human primates like chimps don't have these abilities. So it's specific to humans. It is a part of our evolution cycle. This is not applicable to non-human primates. This is Mr. Pinker's views. So this is where they disagree. Folks, you have to watch out for these things. So they disagree, and this is Pinker's views. Evolution is about Pinker's views. Okay? Then this goes on to explain details about it. Okay? This gives you more details about Pinker's views. What does it say? Now the main thing here is that this is a gene. Pinker says that this is genetic. Pinker says that this is genetic. This is hereditary. Alright? And the author says that because of Pinker's views, right, this proposition will undoubtedly raise the hackles of some behavioral psychologists, because those people believe that human behavior may be changed for the better by improvements in the culture and environment. Now you have to understand what is the conflict here. The conflict is, Pinker is saying this is genetic. If something is genetic, it is fixed. It's hereditary, it's fixed, you can't change it. That's the conflict. Because the moment you say it's genetic, these people will think, oh no, but this is not true. Because they strongly believe that human behavior can be changed. But if you call something genetic, then it becomes fixed. Right? And then the next paragraph is very interesting, the next part, because it says, his point allays such fears. Allays means puts to rest. Okay, so those fears are not true according to Pinker, because what Pinker says is Pinker talks about the universality, right? Hold on one second. Correct. The fundamental unity of humanity is the theme of Mr. Chomsky's Universal Grammar and of this exciting book. So what you have to now understand is they're claiming, okay, if we go with Pinker's genetic meaning, right, then it can lead to racism and stuff like that. But then it says it allays such fears, so it puts it to rest. Now I won't go into the details of this because then I'll end up giving you the answer of one of the questions. So we'll come back to this paragraph and deep dive, okay, later. But let's understand the main idea. Now the main idea definitely here is about how language is an instinct. It's innate, it's inbuilt, according to both Chomsky and Pinker. Then the next part of the main idea is how Pinker takes this idea, brings it to every man, and then Pinker believes, unlike Chomsky, that this is a part of evolution. So the main idea, to summarize, number one, you have to include this point: language is innate, language is instinctive, according to both characters. And then talk about Pinker's views, because this passage largely focuses on Pinker's views of Chomsky's doctrine, and the book, which is Language Instinct. So the evolution part should be a part of your main idea. Alright, I hope this is clear, folks. Correct. Throughout the passage, the author seems to be very supportive of Pinker's points. Yes, I would agree with that. Okay, is this clear, folks? Instinctive, Chomsky's views, how Pinker brought it to every man, and then Pinker added his own interpretations of how it is a part of evolution, which Chomsky didn't agree with. Is this clear? Perfect. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the question now. Which one of the following statements best summarizes the author's position about Pinker's book? Now, this is interesting. The answer to this question is in the last paragraph. So we'll deep dive into it. Okay. Now let's look at number one. We're looking for author's position about Pinker's book. What does the author think about Pinker's book? Anatomical developments like the voice box play a key role in determining language acquisition skills. All right. Now give me evidence. When you have questions like this, you're saying that this is author's position about Pinker's book. This is talking about anatomical developments like the voice box playing a key role in language acquisition. Where is this being spoken about? Give me the paragraph. 1, 2, 3, or 4. One, two, three, or 4. Which paragraph talks about this? Give me evidence. This was your first choice, right? Where does it say that the voice box plays a key role in determining language acquisition skills? Fourth, okay? All right, tell me which line, because I can't see it. I've read this passage. Where does it talk about voice box playing a key role in language acquisition skills? The only part where I thought it talked about the vocal apparatus was this, but it was connected to chimps. I don't see the voice box being spoken about anywhere and saying that, oh, this is very important for language acquisition skills. Black box, that's different. That is different. And I'll talk about it. Somebody was asking me what is black box. I'll talk about what black box is. But this is not voice box. It says poo-pooed as a black box theory, rejected as a black box theory. This is something completely different. Black box is not voice box. No para talks about the voice box. Correct, Animesh. Okay, so maybe what happened was either you confused it with black box or you confused it with vocal apparatus, which was connected to chimps. Right? Now let's go back. Now, folks, again, this is how you're going to learn. Figure out why you made the mistake. So what happened here was you misinterpreted the passage. Now ask yourself, did you go back and check? In this question, in a complex question like this, you should go back and verify each option, because this question is a broad inference question. This can be from anywhere in the passage. Which one of the following statements best summarizes the position? Now this can be anywhere. So you have to go back and check. There is no evidence to support this. Ask yourself, whenever you're making an inference, where is the evidence? Tell me the lines based on which you're inferring this. There is no evidence. Okay, so this is gone. Number 2, so your first choice is gone, right? The universality of the language instinct counters claims that Pinker's book is racist. Now break up this option. The universality of the language instinct. Is the language instinct universal according to the RC? In the last paragraph it is. It talks about it, and it says counters claims that Pinker's book is racist. Was there any mention of Pinker's book being racist in the last paragraph? Think about this. This last paragraph is something that we didn't deep dive, right? Because I didn't want to give you the answer. Here, what it's saying is that Pinker's views of language being genetic, right, can seem to invite the twin bugaboos of biological determinism and racism. Bugaboos means problems. Bugaboos means problems. So what it's saying is Pinker's views of language being genetic can invite racism issues. So Pinker's book can be claimed to be racist. But my question to you is, read this entire paragraph. Has that fear or has that claim been countered in this paragraph? Tell me. I'm going to ask the question again. Has that claim of racism been countered in this paragraph? I'm going to wait for your answer. This is important. Has that claim been countered? Has that claim been countered, folks? Yes or no? Allay. Allay is what tells you that it has been countered. What does it say? Yet Mr. Pinker stresses one point that should allay such fears. Allay fears means eliminate these fears. Put them to rest. Put them to rest. Add this word in your vocabulary. Allaying fears. When you allay a fear, you put the fear to rest. You eliminate the fear. So it says, yet Pinker stresses one point that should allay such fears. What fears? Of racism and biological determinism. This part allays that fear. Even though there are 4,000 to 6,000 languages today, they are all sufficiently alike to be considered one language by an extraterrestrial observer. In other words, most of the diversity of the world's cultures, so beloved to anthropologists, is superficial and minor compared to the similarities. Racial differences are literally only skin deep. The fundamental unity of humanity is the theme of Mr. Chomsky's universal grammar and of this exciting book. So, yes, genetic views of Pinker could invite racism, but then it clearly says that Pinker stresses one point, and that one point is about universality of language. The fundamental unity of humanity is the theme of Mr. Chomsky's universal grammar. Grammar is universal. Language is universal. Yes, we have 5,000 to 6,000, 4,000 to 6,000 languages. But to an extraterrestrial, they all seem to say. So what Pinker is saying is, yes, these languages are different, but a common thread runs through all these languages, and that is universal in nature. And that allays the fear of racism. What is racism? Racism is my race is superior to yours. But this guy is saying, hey, this language is universal. The grammar is universal. Right? The differences are all skin deep. So it allays that fear of superiority of one race over the other. through universality. Is this clear, folks? Tell me if this is clear. Okay, Sanjana says it has, but as per author, it is racist, right? Because he feared that in para 4. He feared that, Sanjana, but he says, the author says that it allays such fears, right? The author himself is saying is, yet Mr. Pinker stresses one point that should allay such fears. So he gives the fear, and then he clearly says that Pinker's point allays such fears. So it's gone. It counters that claim. All right? Okay, tell me if this is clear, people. I need to get feedback from you. Okay, what should we do ideally in the exam if we don't know the meaning of allay? See, folks, you don't have to know the meaning of allay or specific words. You can understand words through context. Alright? So, even if you don't know allay, if you focus on this paragraph, there are many indicators, especially the last line, which tells you that this is not racism. So, in the exam, you have to understand words through context. Right? Try to understand connotation. Is it a positive word, negative word? Extract some broad meaning. Alright? But at the same time, keep improving your vocabulary. Now, you should be adding these words to your vocabulary. Alright? Okay, I hope this is clear. Folks, let me know in chat, please. I need feedback if this is clear. Let's go back. Alright. So, the universality of the language instinct counters claims that Pinker's book is racist. This seems correct. Let's park it. The evolutionary and deterministic framework of Pinker's book makes it racist. Is that what the author thinks? The author doesn't think it's racist. The author thinks it's not racist. This is not the answer. Culture and environment play a key role in shaping our acquisition of language. This is not related. This is not the author's view of Pinker's book. Okay, this is the view of anthropologists. Right? This is not the author's view of Pinker's book, so this is not the answer. The answer is number 2. Alright, tricky question. I hope this is clear. I still don't have feedback. Let me know in chat if this is making sense. Please. Alright, let's move on. Do this. Folks, is it making sense? Yes or no? Be honest. If it's not making sense, it's fine to say no. I can explain that in the end. Okay, Abhijit is saying no. Abhijit, stay back after the session. More than happy to explain to you. Okay, others also let me know. Stay back. I can deep dive into this whole RC for you. Okay, please answer the poll. All right, folks, I'll end the poll in the next 10 seconds. Okay, ending it now. Everybody should vote. I know it's been a long session, but you'll have to build this stamina, right, of solving RCs, questions, and all of that. All right, so yeah, Sridhar is saying very manageable compared to the previous question. Correct, correct. And I want to make an important point. Thanks for bringing this up. I'll just give you the percentages. 70% of you are saying it's 1. Again, if you're right, that's an indicator it's a manageable question. This is your first choice. Quite 70% is quite high. 17% for 2, and then 11% for 4. No takers for number 3. Okay. Got it. Okay, let's look at this. Now, according to the, read the question very carefully. According to the passage, all of the following are true about the language instinct except. Now, this is a very common thing that happens in CAT. Very, very common thing, these except questions. Also one thing, typically they are capitalized, but don't get used to it. Okay? You can very well have, in 23, you can very well have a question where except is not capitalized. Don't bank on it, okay? So read the questions carefully. It might not be like in your face, like the way it is here. Now, it's except questions, if it's confusing you, it's very easy to solve this. I always tell my students, break this question. Don't read with except first. Read the question without except. According to the passage, all of the following are true about the language instinct. Don't read except. All of the following are true. Okay? Now read except. So that means one of them is not true, isn't it? Sorry. That's how it is. Okay? So according to the passage, all of the following are true about language instinct. Okay? All 4 are true except 1. So 3 are true, 1 is not. That is your job. You have to pick this. So read it without except, read it with except, it will become clear. Okay? Solve a ton of questions with except, in the exam it will become automatic. Alright? Okay. So we have to choose the one that is not true. Only one is not true. All intelligent primates are gifted with it. Are all intelligent primates gifted with language instinct? No. The passage clearly tells you that not all, only humans have this. Chimps don't have it. Primate is, by the way, is a group of intelligent mammals. Add this to your vocabulary, it's very common in CAT. This primate evolution passages come a lot. So add this primate word in your vocabulary, it's just a group of mammals, group of intelligent mammals, humans, chimps, monkeys. Okay? It clearly tells you chimps don't have that. So all intelligent primates are not gifted with it. So this is not true. So this is the answer. Right? Let's park it. Not all intelligent primates are gifted with it. Wait, 1 second. Yeah, this is not true. Correct. Sorry. Yeah. So, according to the passage, all of the following are true except that. So, this is not true. Not all intelligent primates are gifted with it. This is true per the passage. Okay, because not all of them are gifted with it. Developments in neuroscience have increased its acceptance. This is true. It confers an evolutionary reproductive advantage. This is also true because it talks about evolution. So, the only statement that is not true is number 1. And that's your answer. Correct. So Animesh says, I answered 2 because I did not read except. There you go, Animesh. So this is a very common mistake that happens, and it's glad that it's happening in the practice phase. Learn from it. Okay, and sometimes it won't be capitalized. So that's why when you come to questions, read each and every word of the question and the option very carefully. Don't rush through them. Okay? All right, great. Good job, folks. The folks who got it wrong, please understand why you got it wrong. Let's do this one. Okay, I'll end the poll in 10 seconds. All right. Now again, this question seems like you folks have found it manageable. 73% is saying 4. 20% is saying 1. 6% is saying 2. No takers for 3. Let's look at this. Again, an accept question. As I told you, it's very common. From the passage, it can be inferred that all of the following are true about Pinker's book, The Language Instinct, except. Again, do break it, read it without except, read it with except. You have to pick the one that is not true about Pinker's book, The Language Instinct. 3 are true, 1 is not. You have to pick the one that is not true. Alright? Okay. Number 1. Writes in a different style from Chomsky. Is this true about Pinker's book? It is. Pinker is a different style from Chomsky. Why? Go back to the first paragraph. The first paragraph tells you Chomsky's book was very opaque, was very difficult to understand even for scholars. Pinker made it fun, made it witty, and brought it to the everyman. So the style is definitely very different. This is not the answer. We're looking for except. Okay? Except that Pinker disagrees with Chomsky on certain grounds. Is this true per the passage? Does Pinker disagree? Absolutely he does. It clearly says, unlike evolution theory. So Pinker does disagree with Chomsky on certain grounds. Hence, this is not your answer. Remember, you're looking for except or false. Okay. Except that Pinker draws extensively from Chomsky's propositions. This is definitely true. No wonder you didn't pick it. Very good. The whole passages, it starts with Chomsky goes to Pinker, drawing heavily from it. This can't be the answer. Now you're remaining with 4. Draws from behavioral psychology theories. Does he draw from behavioral psychology theories? Don't assume. Go back to the passage. That's why I tell you, go back to the passage to figure out or confirm your answer. Reread specific portions, not the entire passage. Okay? Where does it talk about drawing? It says, right, he has gathered persuasive data from such diverse fields as cognitive neuroscience, developmental psychology, and speech therapy. It doesn't talk about behavioral psychology. Also, look at this. Yeah. This proposition will undoubtedly raise the hackles of some behavioral psychologists. What does that mean? They're going to disagree. Behavioral psychologists and anthropologists would disagree with the genetic aspect of it. So this shows disagreement, this shows conflict. And in the previous case, there was no behavioral psychology. So don't assume, come back and reread. You will understand that this is not in line. Does it draw from behavioral psychology theories? No. There is no evidence. Sorry, this is the right answer. There is no evidence in the passage that tells you this. Now, one tip I'll give you right away. Whenever it's an inference question, and it doesn't have to say the word inferred, all your questions are inferential in nature in CAT, by the way, 100%. Inference questions, you have to look for evidence. Ask yourself this, do I have evidence? What is evidence? Sentences in the passage. Inferences, you're drawing that inference from existing sentences. If there are no existing sentences, where are you drawing the inference from? So ask yourself, where is the evidence? You should be able to clearly tell me these lines or these different words or these different paragraphs is where I'm drawing the inference from. If you don't have that, then your answer is likely wrong. So always look for evidence. This is the answer. Well done, folks. If it's not clear, let me know. Final question. Let's do this. Okay, final question, do that. I'll make sure to answer your remaining questions also, so don't worry. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't liked it, please like it and answer the poll. Subscribe to our channel. We're going to be doing these Blitzkrieg sessions very regularly from now on. You'll at least see, so of course, you'll see one next week, pretty much because we have slot 3 remaining 2 RCs. I think odd one out is also remaining from 21. We'll probably do that as well. You never know, odd one out might just come back in 23. And then of course from June, we're going to have these sessions very regularly. All for quant, DLR and verbal. So definitely subscribe to our channel. I'm going to move out of the way. Okay, I'll end the poll in the next 10 seconds, folks. We are going to do a quick one on this. Sanjana, good question. Will YouTube sessions be different from Blitzkrieg course in the CAT? Oh, Sanjana, so Blitzkrieg in the course is very much connected to the YouTube sessions. Okay, typically in the Blitzkrieg module in the course, we'll upload your tests and stuff. Typically we do that. Okay, so it's connected to the YouTube sessions. It's not different. All right? Typically, they'll have tests and stuff like that. Okay, I'm ending the poll now. Yeah, Sandeep, I tend to do that sometimes. That's why I don't like explaining the passage before the questions, but then, that also sometimes doesn't work because, we have to discuss the main idea and stuff like that. But I'll be more conscious of that, not giving away the answer. Okay. All right, fantastic. So overwhelming majority here, 85% of you are going with 2. That's your first choice. 14% with 4, and no takers for 1 and 3. All right. On the basis, read the question carefully. On the basis of the information in the passage, Pinker and Chomsky may disagree with each other on which of the following. May disagree. Now, if you don't read this properly or in a rush, if you read agree, you will get the question wrong. Very common mistake. It has happened to me also. That's why slow down. When you're reading the question, read each and every word of the question and the options. I'll say this 100 times in these sessions. On which one of the following points? The possibility of a universal grammar. Why would they disagree? They agree with this. This is not your answer. The Darwinian explanatory paradigm for language. What does paradigm mean? Model. Don't get confused. Okay, add this to your vocabulary. Do they agree on this? They don't. The passage clearly says, unlike Chomsky. Pinker believed it's evolution. Chomsky didn't. This is the answer, correct? The language instinct, absolutely not. This is the main idea. The inborn language acquisition skills of humans. This is also instinct. Now, folks who selected 2, think about this. This 3 and 4 is rephrasing. 3 says language instinct, inborn language acquisition skills of humans. That's also relating to an instinct. Okay, so this can't be the answer. So the answer is number 2. All right. Fantastic. Now, so we're done with this. Okay, just hold on a second before you leave. Okay, of course, very quickly, we have a scholarship test. So if you're considering joining our course, go to online.2am.com. The link is in the chat window as well. The date is 6th and 7th May. You can give the scholarship test and you can stand to get a 50% scholarship. Now, it's a great test. It looks like CAT. So take this as a diagnostic test and then decide if you want to join the course or not, right? So yeah, you can go there, sign up. These are our achievers. I'm very, very proud of them. So I'm going to talk about them again and again. And yeah, this can be you, all right? Okay, now let's go back. We're going to keep doing these Blitzkrieg sessions. Next time, to make the best use, pre-read the passages and come in advance. We'll do one next week as well. So watch out for that. Now, some of you are asking me about black box. Okay, let's look at that. Add this to your vocabulary, okay? See, it says, for Mr. Chomsky and Mr. Pinker, somewhere in the human brain, there is a complex set of neural circuits that have been programmed with super rules. And that these rules are unconscious and instinctive. A half century ago, this would have been poo-pooed as a black box theory, since one could not actually pinpoint this grammatical faculty in a specific part of the brain or describe its functioning. What does this mean? Now see, even if you don't understand black box theory, okay, you can understand this from context. What does it say? These guys, okay, Chomsky and Pinker, said that somewhere in the human brain there is a complex set of neural circuits which are programmed with universal grammar. A half century ago, people wouldn't have believed them. Why? Because there was no concrete evidence. That's what it's saying. Since one could not actually pinpoint this grammatical faculty in a specific part of the brain or describe its functioning, there was no empirical evidence. There was no evidence. Nobody could pinpoint and say, okay, this is where in the brain, this part of the brain holds those grammatical rules. That's why a half a century ago, people would have rejected this. Now, you don't really need to understand what black box is, right, to understand this statement. I'm just making a point here. But let me tell you what black box is. And you can Google it also and add it to your vocabulary later. Black box, number 1, literally is connected to that part of the airplane, right? Every airplane has a black box. So the airplane crashes, they recover the black box to figure out why it crashed. All right? Black box figuratively means any system which is very difficult to understand. So it can be used for any system which is very complicated, which is very kind of like secretive, and you can't really understand the inner workings of it. That's what it means. Okay, so that is the black box theory. Add this to your vocabulary. I hope this is clear. Okay. Fantastic. Sandeep is asking me what? Sandeep, what do you want me to explain? Please tell me. The evolution part of it? Okay, there was one more question that I want to deal with it. Okay, I can't figure out the question. I have to sort of, arcane. Arcane, where is arcane? Arcane is something which is difficult. Typically, arcane, is the word arcane here? I don't know. Okay, arcane is, if I'm not wrong, arcane is something which is difficult, which is complicated to understand, right? Complicated. Let's just do a quick check. I don't want to make a mistake with my vocabulary. Yes, understood by few, mysterious or secret, right? Awesome. Coincidentally, I was watching Araman says, coincidentally, I was watching air crash investigation before the session, so the term black box was clear. Right, air crash investigation, I've watched that series as well. It's very difficult, it's a very tempting series to watch, right? Although very sad and dark, but quite interesting as well. Is black box same as arcane? Yeah, you can say that. Yes, you can say that. Abhijit, you're right. Black box is also mysterious, arcane is also mysterious. This is similar. They're similar. Okay? Alright, great job. I'm going to wait for 2 more minutes to see if there are questions. I wasn't able to find that previous question, but let me know if there's any question that is unanswered. Of course, you can put it in the comments, and I'm more than happy to respond it on the comments as well. Of course, if you're my student or 2am student, you know where to find me. All right? Fantastic, folks. Let me know if there are questions. Otherwise, we will call it a day. I hope you enjoyed this session. Don't forget to like and meet me next week as well when we'll discuss the remaining 2 RCs. Yes, one more point that I wanted to make was how you see the Chomsky and Pinker RC. It was complex, right? It was not easy to understand. But you saw how questions were of varying difficulty. Out of the 4 questions, the first one was difficult. Second and third were manageable. Fourth was also manageable to a certain extent. Right? So this typically happens with complex RCs. So when you see a complex RC, right, when you're reading through it, you're like, okay, this is too complex. Don't run away from it. If you're going to attempt it, extract the main idea, be as broad as possible, whatever main idea you can extract, and then attempt the questions that are manageable. Typically in RCs, what happens is 2 out of 4 questions are manageable, right? If the passage is very complex, chances are you will get 3 manageable questions. If the passage is very easy, chances are you will get 3 difficult questions. But 2 out of 4 generally are manageable, even if it's a very complex RC, right? So extract a broad main idea. Then for detailed questions, you come back to specific portions and get the answer. All right? Fantastic. When I was reading, what is Harshit saying? When I was reading, I was unable to comprehend properly second RC. Yeah, Harshit, it's complex. It is complex. Okay? So see, also, I'm guessing you're in your initial early stages of prep, right? So as you build your reading skills, this will get more and more easy, right? And also, as I said, focus on the main idea. Extract the main idea, solve the manageable questions, right? But keep reading different genres, different kinds of language so that you get used to this language. All right? Okay. I had a question, it may come off as stupid. No, Ariman, there is no stupid question. I mean that. I had a question, the second question. I was stuck between the 4th option and 2nd option because nowhere it mentioned that mutant heroes were called. Oh yeah, this was the question that I was looking for. Great, Ariman, thank you for bringing that up. Let's talk about this. I loved solving this passage, by the way, in the exam. I remember this. My exam started, I give the CAT every year, right? So only the VRC section. So that way I'm very privileged. But the exam started, the first passage was this. So I was super excited. I was like, this is manageable. But then, of course, as it progressed, it got more and more complex. What are we looking at? What question was this? Second question. This is the one. Okay. Somebody else also was asking me this. Okay. Which one of the following statements best captures the sense of the first statement? So Araman is saying, why is this not the answer? Because he's like, where does it say that X-Men were mutant heroes? Right? That's what Araman is saying. Correct. So Araman, it's not mentioned, but it can be inferred. Let's go back to the first paragraph. Let me delete all this notes. Okay. Back in early 2000s, an awesome thing happened in the new X-Men comics. Our mutant heroes had been battling giant robots called Sentinels for years, but suddenly these mechanical overlords spawned a new threat. Okay? Blah, blah, blah. All right. Okay. So this is where we are inferring it from, Araman, right? I'm not using external knowledge. I'm actually not a X-Men fan as well at all. Like I haven't read the comics. I haven't seen the movie, right? But I was able to correlate that, they are talking about the correlation is X-Men and mutant heroes, right? Because the enemy is the giant robots called Sentinels. So then I said, okay, X-Men can't be the enemy. It has to be mutant heroes. That's where I got it from. Okay. So let's go back. The X-Men were mutant heroes who now had to battle tiny robots called nano sentinels. Okay, I get your point. It's not mentioned. But it's an inference that you have to make. Now, again, I get your point that, maybe people are using external knowledge, but I actually didn't use external knowledge. If I take my example, X-Men couldn't have been anything else in this case, because we knew that the enemy is called Sentinels, right? So that's why we're making this inference or correction, right? Ariman, does it make sense? It's not a stupid question, by the way. You have a point, but it's it's an inference that can be made, and there is no external knowledge required. But I'm sure the question setter was an X-Men fan. All right, I think it's clear. Okay, we've overshot. I always overshoot these sessions. All right, folks, let's call it a day. Thank you very much. Comment if you have more questions, and I'll see you next week. All right, take care, everyone.